Hello, this is R.J. Deacon reading the Supreme Court of the United States opinion syllabus in Rehaif versus United States. Certiorari at the United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. Argued April 23, 2019. Decided June 21, 2019. Petitioner Rehaif entered the United States on a non-immigrant student visa to attend university, but was dismissed for poor grades. He subsequently shot 2 firearms at a firing range. The government prosecuted him under 18 U.S.C. Section 922G, which makes it unlawful for certain persons, including aliens illegally in the country, to possess firearms, and Section 924A2, which provides that anyone who knowingly violates the first provision can be imprisoned for up to 10 years. The jury at Rehaif's trial was instructed that the government was not required to prove that he knew that he was unlawfully in the country. It returned a guilty verdict. The 11th Circuit affirmed. The Supreme Court held, decision is reversed and remanded, and Justice Breyer delivered the opinion of the court. In a prosecution under 922G and 924A2, the government must prove both that the defendant knew he possessed a firearm and that he knew he belonged to the relevant category of persons barred from possessing a firearm. Whether a criminal statute requires the government to prove that the defendant acted knowingly is a question of congressional intent. This inquiry starts from a long-standing presumption that Congress intends to require a defendant to possess a culpable mental state regarding each of the statutory elements that criminalize otherwise innocent conduct. That's United States versus Excitement Video. Normally characterized as a presumption in favor of Sinter, there is no convincing reason to depart from this presumption here. The statutory text supports the presumption. It specifies that a defendant commits a crime if he knowingly violates Section 922G, which makes a possession of a firearm unlawful when the following elements are satisfied. 1. A status element, here being an alien illegally or unlawfully in the United States. 2. A possession element, to possess, to possess. 3. A jurisdictional element, in or affecting commerce. And 4. A firearm element, a firearm or ammunition. Aside from the jurisdictional element, which is not subject to the presumption in favor of Sinter, Section 922G's text simply lists the elements that make the defendant's behavior criminal. The term knowingly is normally read as applying to all the subsequently listed elements of the crime. That's Flores-Figueroa versus United States. And the knowingly requirement clearly applies to Section 922G's possession element, which follows the status element in the statutory text. There is no basis for interpreting knowingly as applying to the second Section 922G element, but not the first. This reading of the statute is also consistent with a basic principle underlying the criminal law, the importance of showing what Blackstone called a vicious will. Sinter requirements advance this principle by helping to separate wrongful from innocent acts. That is the case here. Possessing a gun can be entirely innocent. It is the defendant's status, not his conduct alone, that makes the difference. Without knowledge of that status, a defendant may lack the intent needed to make his behavior wrongful. The government's argument, to the contrary, are unpersuasive. In claiming that Congress does not normally require defendants to know their own status, it points to statuses where the defendant's status is a criminal element, separating innocent from wrongful conduct. Again, Excitement Video. Those statutes are quite different from the provisions at issue here, where the defendant's status separates innocent from wrongful conduct. The government also argues that whether an alien is legally or unlawfully in the United States is a question of law, not fact, and thus appeals to the maxim that ignorance of the law is no excuse. But that maxim normally applies where a defendant possesses the requisite mental state in respect to the elements of the crime, but claims to be unaware of a law forbidding his conduct. That maxim does not normally apply where a defendant's mistaken impression about a collateral legal question causes him to misunderstand his conduct's significance, thereby negating an element of the offense. Rehaif's status as an alien illegally or unlawfully in the United States refers to what commentators call a collateral question of law, and a mistake regarding that status negates an element of the offense. Finally, the statutory and legislative history on which the government relies is at best inclusive. The decision below is reversed and remanded. Justice Breyer delivered the opinion of the court, in which Chief Justice Roberts and Justices Ginsburg, Sotomayor, Kagan, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh joined. Justice Alito filed a dissenting opinion, in which Justice Thomas joined. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to get a hold of the podcast, we can be reached at rhodesscholar@gmail.com or on Twitter @courtsyllabus.